Welcome back to the Better Body, Better Life series. Today we've got Ash on the podcast, who is one of our Rockstar members inside the Method and someone I've got a lot of love and trust for, dude. So welcome to the show. How are we feeling across the board today?
I am feeling very energized from a very good place.
Amazing.
It's a place that's taken a lot of time to get to, but when
Yeah,
you get to it, you know it's the right thing. So I'm coming from that place of
abundance.
let's do it and let's do more of it.
I love it.
Yeah.
I was looking back, so this time of the year, it's like the topic is 2025, the new year. I know we briefly started working together in January, actually, which seems like it was much long ago. Let's just kind of take things back a little bit to January. What's been the biggest change you've seen within yourself? Not even just within body, because that's been absolutely extreme and insane, but overall, what's changed in life?
I realized that the effort I've put into my physicality has somewhat really influenced my mentality. So what
Mm,
I'm finding is it's not a top-down approach. It's a bottom top approach where I'm using my intuition and tapping into me personally as a person and going away and understanding, you know, we started working together to fix the physical. We're on our way, we're doing that. I'm really enjoying that. But as a byproduct of that, everything else around that is changing. The way I think, the way I react, the way I question things, and really just digging in and being really honest, not just to myself and to a lot of people around me, about who I am and what I want and what do I need to do to actually get there. And that's what's happened. How many months are we talking now?
it's
10,
almost at 10, yeah. It's wild talking
10
about.
months. 10 months out of somebody who is 40 years old. You can see, like, it's just
Insane.
incredible what you can do when you know that your time literally is limited. But if you have the intention, you will do something with it. And that's where I'm right now. I don't know where I'm going, but I know I'm going somewhere.
I think that's the beauty
That's
of
the
it. You're not
important
sure
thing.
about the future, but you focus on the now. I think if it's like 80% focus on the absolute being the best you can now, 20% plan for the
Yeah.
future. Like
Yeah.
I don't like, I even don't even like those numbers, but most of the time, like focus on short term, medium term, and then off the back of it, long term needs to be considered at the back of it. It's
Exactly, because of this, there's only so far you can see ahead. But what I've
it's
learned is
things change
as
all the
long
time.
as you take this, as long as you take the steps, the
Yeah,
staircase will show itself.
right. It's
Things
all
will happen, but you have to have that intentionality to go, okay, I will take that step. I might fall over, but I'm not going to look back. I'm going to take what I learned. My failure is feedback, and what I do with it, that's my choice.
yeah.
And as we've always spoken about, we're human. You're going to go back and forward and back and forward. But what I've learned is you can only go so far back before you want to go forward.
100%, dude. 100%. I think that the
And that's
beauty
what I've
of
been doing. I've been writing about it, been documenting it, been studying myself, and realizing that that's the only way forward. That's the only way forward with that true intentionality. It's like I accept, and that's a really hard thing. Is that I accept what it is, as it is, how it is,
100%.
but I also accept that I can make the choice. I can make the decision, and it goes up and down, left and right, back and forth. But in the end, my life, I make the decisions. It's all come out of fixing my body. I know people listening to this might not make that assumption or make that connection. It's like, well, fixing your body, you're on the path to fixing your life in ways that you never imagined was possible. And I am telling you, that is what it is. It is so damn powerful. It's on another level because I actually sit down and I think that I've been living in this place for the amount of time I've actually had on my journey, and I realized how I was before and how I used to think, and now I'm in the same place, going to the same places in a different mindset, in a different physicality, and going, I've noticed how much I've changed. I've got confidence. I want to talk. I want to smile. I want to be part of, my own life rather than just looking at it and going, I can't live it. because it's just too painful. But what do you do with that pain? You've got to, you've got to, what I've learned is you've got to metabolize the stuff that you go through in your life. You've got to take the energy and you've got to put it somewhere. And that's what I've done. It's like, look, I can't sit on this energy. I can't sit on the best part of me forever. And it's like, you've helped me realize that just by telling me to go to the gym, get routines in place, get habits in place, get more steps in. It's like, it really is not rocket science. I
Dude,
think we live in a society where it's like quick wins. Let's try everything and anything apart from the basics.
I couldn't say, if you could say that more, like, you'd make my job easier. I'll tell you that. It's like, you want to earn the right to make it hard. Like, from the get go, it shouldn't be hard. You have to earn your right to make it hard. And that's like something I've been taught. It's like, you do things right. It's like, at the start, it should be simple. The idea should be simple. Doing it is the hard. But like, when you really like start to break it down to the foundation level, you can get a lot by doing probably the least. And like, being a minimalist is like the best way to win with your transformation goals. But one thing you said there, which I really love, and like, I really believe that the hardest part of a transformation is not the work you need to put in from before and after, is taking that first step and taking that first photo, or even look at it before. Because the awareness is the first step. From there, you proceed change. But generally speaking, it's the hardest part. Isn't the work you need to do? It's admitting something needs to change. You're not happy now. It's things aren't where they want to be, and being comfortable and like being completely vulnerable, being like, I'm going to raise my hand to him, being like, this is not where I want to be in life. I'm taking that first step. That's the hardest part. After that, it gets easier. And that's usually the initial barrier. And people spend decades delaying, like, admitting that, and the actual awareness factor. The quicker you realize, the quicker you get ahead. And that's actually the hardest part, I'd say, within transformation, which you said in different words.
So, on the back of that, I think people also need to understand throughout their lives what is going to kick them the hardest to actually make them realize they need to change.
Mm.
What happened to me was I had COVID. And I realized at that point that I didn't want to be overweight. I didn't want to be sick. I didn't want to feel that way because I felt like if we put the pandemic aside, I felt like I had been made into that person. I felt like I had no choice but to be that person because I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know who I was. And it was a struggle. It was easier just to accept that I couldn't change and just to be and just to try and get through this thing called life.
Yeah.
But then I decided that that was just too painful. That was going to be too painful for where I was going to get to. And I just decided that I wanted a change. I had no idea how it was going to happen. I just decided at that point I wanted to change and I was going to see it through. And like you mentioned there, taking that first picture
It's
was
fucking
so
hard.
difficult.
Yeah, 100%. Sending it.
Sending that picture to somebody else, it's like you are admitting this is where I am and this is how I'm feeling right now. But I know you can help me and you want to help me. You know, taking that video of me doing push-ups and all kinds of things, you know, in my apartment and realizing where I was and where I am right now, I think that is really powerful as well to really understand, which I realize is even when the numbers on the scale are going up and down, left and right, back and forth,
What to do.
I always go back and realize that if I look at the bigger picture,
Yeah.
I have made so much progress. And the scales going up and down, left and right, back and center is not really going to affect me the way that it used to. I think a lot of people do get caught up in the very small things when they should just open and widen their lens, you know, in whatever journey it is, whether it's fitness, whether it's trying to get a new career, new job, new skills. It's like over time, what have you accumulated, you know? And I've accumulated a lot of patience for myself, a lot of self-care, a lot of self-compassion, a lot of skills, and a lot of confidence. To go into that gym at 4 a.m., I go to the gym at 4 a.m. every single day. I go in there and I feel like that is my place. Those are my people. that's where I want to be, and that's where my real work is done. And I know that for sure. You know, my paid work is great. Yeah, it pays for everything that I need to live a very healthy, good life. And I'm very grateful for that. But my space and my time is when I'm in there putting myself through my paces. And at the beginning, it was tough because you know that it is a struggle, it's hard, it is going to be difficult. But as time's gone on, it's got easier, it's got better, and it's got to the point where in the middle of the workout, let me try something more, or let me go and try something else. Automatically you just want to be able to go and do something that you wouldn't have done before. And I've done that in the gym. It's like, let me just see what else I can do apart from what I'm being told to do. And that just gives you that instant gratification, that instant, like, I can do this. And what I've learned is, how do you now then take that kind of mentality and way of thinking and turbocharge it into the rest of your life? And this is the reason why we're talking right now. Because even before we were just talking about my last week, it was like, okay, now we're going through, the ups and downs of, what happens in people's careers. And
Do this.
I'm being so honest with everyone and everything. It's like, look, I kind of have found me, and maybe they don't know why and how, but I know I found it through focusing on my physicality. Because when I go out through my door, I feel so powerful. I've often felt shame in my life, and I used to go outside and just look down and walk and look at my feet. And now I'm like, I raise my eyes, I look at people in the eye, and I go, look at me. Not because I've got an ego. It's like I've got nothing to be ashamed of, because I'm putting all the effort in. I'm putting all the work in. I am proud of something I've built. I've not built a house, I've not built a car, I've not built an empire. I've built something that you cannot buy. And that is the most valuable thing you're going to have. You've built something and you're maintaining something that actually doesn't cost anything. It's just costing your time. And that's the one thing you're never going to be able to buy anyway or get more of. So what's the point? You might as well spend it on yourself. And I've told you before, I've seen many, many people with flashy lives, flashy lifestyles, and they've got every single thing under the sun that money can buy. But when you look at them, they are very unhappy, they are very unhealthy, and they think they've got it all. I look at them and go, you know what? I'd rather have my shiny boot and my shiny cover, and I've got my engine inside that's working. You've got 4x4 that you've got to pay like whatever on, and it's never going to be enough for you. It's never going to be enough. The damn thing's going to break down one day, and it's like you're still going to be in that point where you're going to break down. So
Yeah.
I've kind of like weighed out and go, look, I'd rather be this version of me, and if if I am lucky to get all those other things, then so be it. But I'm starting with me.
For
I'm
yourself.
starting with me. I'm starting with me, and I'm seeing all the other things starting to fall into place.
Yeah.
And like we were just saying, I've just become the serial experimenter, the serial disruptor, and being very, very hands-on with breaking things apart and telling people exactly what I think, and having to deal with that, because it's like I'm trying to understand who I am, because it's like I've never been in this position before, and it's exciting. It's like suddenly there are so many options.
What would your best advice be back to your previous self that was making that first step of change but finding it difficult? What would be your advice to them?
What I have learnt is that use other people as inspiration. When you see people that are better than you, or you feel have achieved more than you, either if they've got more or if they look better, do not use that to pull yourself down, because you will go down that rabbit hole of
Okay.
comparison. Use that as fuel for inspiration. Understand why you feel jealous, why you feel envy, why you feel angry. It's because you also want part of that. Not all of it. You want something better than what you already embody, or what you have right now. And I was at that point where I would look at those people and go, look, oh, I hate the gym. I don't like all these people. They're always in there. They always look good, and they've always got energy, and they all seem to be like really, really on it. And I just was like, look, I'm just going to resign myself. So I think my biggest piece of advice is, when you look at the world from your world, understand that if you want to be in another place, then use the things you see around you as inspiration. Look on your social media, see who you're following, and understand why you're following those people. Is there you have to understand that. What's that telling you? Are you using that to drag yourself down, or are you using that to actually try to give yourself some encouragement to do something? And when I say do something, we're not telling you to go and run a marathon in a day. We're not telling you to go and lift 20,000 pounds in a day. It's like, look, we have only got here because we realize that you just got to take that first step. That's what you have to do. You just take a step, rinse and repeat. And over time, with the consistency and the intention, you can go anywhere.
Dude, I love that.
And this is my experience. I haven't even got far.
You've got far.
I've come so far at the same time.
You've got so much more of a distance to go. I think that's the beauty of it, dude. I look very for you into the future. It's going to be amazing for you, and if that's happened in 10 months, like, you're laughing in comparison to what other people are going to achieve in that time period. So, dude, it's the very best. For you, just to wrap up, what would be your one message to someone listening to this? I know you've kind of briefly given it just now, which I love. So I'm like, that's kind of dick for this one. What would be like the final message you want to give to people listening today?
I think the final message I would give is something that somebody told me, albeit it's been in a work context. They've seen how resilient I am. They've seen how I don't give up. They see how I am dedicated. They see how I'm also authentic. And the piece of advice is, you should never doubt yourself. Do not doubt yourself, because as soon as you plant that seed and you keep watering it, it will grow into a tree, into a forest. And you don't want to spend your life trying to cut down that forest, because it will just spiral out of control. So again, I think my one piece of advice is, do not doubt yourself. And it goes back to what we were just saying. Do not doubt yourself, and be aware of your steps. That's all. Just be aware of what you're doing. It's the awareness that I've gained out of working with you and working generally in fitness, is there is an awareness there. When you go past the doors in the gym, it's like you're not really on autopilot. You are there because you know why you're there. You know why you're there.
Yeah, dude, I love this, and there's a lot of love and admiration for you, dude. It's look forward to the future.
Same here. It's been mind blowing. It's just been like, this is just the beginning, and I'm sure that there is so much more.